I'm Michael Parenti, a political writer, author, and noted after-dinner raconteur.
When I was a kid, I rooted for the cowboys, kill those Indians, and if one of the human beings inside the wagon train got an arrow in him, oh, get that arrow out, you know, that was hurting, that hurt him. But those other things, you just kill them, knock them off their horses as quick as possible. Yeah, we got that stuff. All of us, by the way, have those images in us to some degree, right? All I can tell you about the mafia jokes I hear from my politically progressive friends. As an Italian American, I'm supposed to think that's funny. And it's not funny. Yeah. Saddam Hussein, the butcher of Baghdad, a madman, a beast, worse than Hitler. Do you remember George Bush? George Bush was saying that about him. Saddam Hussein is worse than Hitler. You know, that dynamic, fiery way he has. So you go, Georgie, do it to me. Oh, wow, you just set me on fire, Georgie. You just... The free market core mythology, to which both political parties in this country and just about all mainstream commentators are wedded to, argues in effect that, and here I'm kind of paraphrasing John Maynard Keynes, because he said this too about free market capitalism. The free market mythology, it argues that the most ruthless, selfish, opportunistic, greedy, calculating plunderers, applying the most heartless measures in cold-blooded pursuit of corporate interests and wealth accumulation, will produce the best results for all of us. Through something called the invisible hand.
Mankind is mankind, and no matter what system we have, socialism,
why did you call on this guy?
or capitalism.
In Democracy for the Few, I have a line where I say, the trick to getting rich is not to work hard, but to get others to work hard for you. And then I got a little snot letter from a student out on the West Coast saying, "Dear Dr. Parenti, on page such and such, and he quotes this. I could see him snickering with his fraternity friends as he wrote the letter and saying, I think that's very good advice as to how to get rich, and I would like to get rich. Do you have any further advice as to how I can exploit others and get them to work hard for me so that I could get rich?" And he signed it. You know, I've decided I'm not going to debate these people anymore. I write serious letters, I give serious responses. But to this letter, his name was Ted something, so I just wrote on it and I said, "Dear Teddy, some asshole sent me this letter and signed your name to it." And I folded it and sent it back to you. Which I don't think is the response he was expecting. But I said, and this is my answer, I would wear that label proudly if I knew that you understood what I meant by Marxist. And when somebody like Reed Irvine says, "You're a Marxist, aren't you?" whose only intention is to give a buzzword which says this guy drinks the blood of capitalist children or something, then I'm going to say, no, I'm not your label. I don't particularly want your label. That was why I deferred from the label Marxist. And you see, there's something about saying Marxist when I write a book about the media, and you remember the point I made. I said, look, I wrote the book about the media. I don't know what Karl Marx has to say about 20th century U.S. media. I think he had very little to say because, you know, he left early. But there's been a lot of creative thought and scholarship in Marxist literature and whatever else, and I feel that it's like a scholasticist thing. Oh, you took your formula and you applied it here. I don't see these things that way because I'm a Marxist. Just the opposite. I started seeing these things, and then I began realizing that there was an analysis that had explanatory power for that. It gets very frustrating. You know, for years I'd knock myself out trying to make an analysis. I'd come to the conclusion, I'd say, hey, you know, the police are not neutral. They're on the side of property and power. And somebody would say to me, that's a Marxist. Yeah, you sound like a Marxist. It's a Marxist. Oh, And then I said, hey, you know, wealth is largely unaccountable in many of the things it does in our democracy. I don't understand. That isn't what I learned. So that's a Marxist point of view. That's Marx said that, you know. And it would go on, one thing after another. Every time and I said, boy, this Karl Marx was really something, you know. Every time I put two and two together and come up with a good analysis, they give him the credit for it. Yeah.
And Keynes really, he mocked that too. He didn't have as many adjectives as I did, but he said, how do they think that the most wicked, that was the word he used, the most wickedest people pursuing the most wickedest ends for the most wickedest means are going to produce these beautiful, what an interesting theory. Where the hell could they ever gotten it? Marx had 3 words to sum up the entire process of corporate capitalism. It was accumulate, accumulate, accumulate. And I like that quote because he's recognizing, he doesn't really go into it, he avoids psychology, and I usually do also, but I think it's time we have to treat some of these guys, put them on the couch or something. Since we can't put them on the guillotine, we have to, no, I didn't say that. First thing is we have to inform ourselves about it, about what's going on. What is Monsanto? Why do they do these things? Or why aren't these people being shot? You know, we have to ask those questions. No. Did I say that? I'm so tired.
Did I mention the mic was hot? Yeah.
Oh, I was on. Oh my God. You're exploited, especially as a taxpayer. Who was it? Bacon. Which one? You know, this is when you get old. You shouldn't stray from your notes. But some noted commentator who prefers not to be mentioned right now, he said, what the hell were we talking about? He said, you know, it's happening to all of you too. I know. This microphone has a mind of its own.
And during those years when he was doing that, that's what I hate about these things. You can't regulate your distance from the amplifier if you really want to get going. You can step back and shout, but this comes with you. During those years, understandable defenses against the Soviet. Did I do something wrong here? Just wanted to get this. Move it back a little bit. Just move it back. Can't hear. Okay, I wondered who that man was creeping up like that. Okay, can you hear me better now? Is it all right? Is this on, by the way? Yeah. I feel I'm. There it is. Maybe I have to get a little closer. Can you turn this up at all?
No, not from here.
Yeah. Okay, that's all right. That's it. No, it's just I couldn't see half the audience with us. Okay, great. You always have to. Certain concessions to the media, always. Okay, there we go. Right. This doesn't have any projection. You got to stand like this with a. You can't get it a little higher, huh? Never mind. Blank look when it comes. You can see what that we all read. What's happening to the sound of this? Is it still on? Oh, there it is. Is that? Well, what happens is you start to compensate and using your voice to reach. Boy, these crappy. Someday I'm going to speak someplace where they've mastered the mysteries of sound. I'm talking without the mic. I would like to be able to get the mic, and this is the only. Either you get the saturation stuff, or you get me shouting to you without any amplification. Can we get a microphone that works? Can you hear me back in the last row? It's there we go. Without the hum. That seems to be out of range, actually. This microphone has a mind of its own. All right. What's happened to it? Yeah? Is that better? Oh, when I move that, is that, it's got to be up as far. Is that on now? I don't know. Yeah? I don't know. You see, there's something wrong with this microphone, isn't there? Oh, man.
It's dead. It's gone. No. A piece of tape where? That's not the button. I don't think that's the button. I'm going to have to talk like that. You see, this is, when they check the sound, they go, checking, checking, checking. Yeah, this works. This is playing. It's fine. But nobody stands like this and talks. Even there, it's slipping away. All right. When I go to on these talks, they always say, "Do you need a PowerPoint? Do you need slides?" I said, "No. All I need is water, and a sound system that works." And sometimes I get the water, you know. Let me just see if this one is still alive in my. My unfulfilled ambition is to go to a college where they've got the sound system down. I don't know, but it's just. I mean, how long has amplified sound been with us now? About 100 years. Oh wait, no, you guys are gonna do all that. Never mind.
We can move it over there. It's not a problem.
Listen to the New York Times. The New York Times did there's a couple of paragraphs of psychobiography they had on Milosevic. And I want to read it. The people who write for the New York Times are very brilliant. Ooh, they're so brilliant, the New York Times people. They must be because they think so themselves, you know. And so it must be true. So I want to read this brilliant passage from the New York Times. And they're from New York, don't forget. Hey, I'm from New York, but I'm really not brilliant. If I were, I'd be writing for the New York Times. Milosevic. As a youth, Mr. Milosevic was a pudgy loner. See, now, being a loner in the American political lexicon, this is obvious evidence of psychopathology, and you're an assassin, obviously, you know. Lee Harvey Oswald was a loner. He may have been a loner, he was no assassin. Timothy McVeigh, the kid who shot Ronald Reagan, what was his name? Hinkle, I forget. A loner. They all call a loner. Oh, they were loners. They all have friends and family, but they call a loner. It's a loner, that's for sure. Oh. But Milosevic, you know, was a very specially serious case because he was a pudgy loner. See, now, pudginess is un-American. I mean, I don't think so. I think pudginess isn't bad at all, but pudginess is un-American. Now, if Milosevic, though, if he was a lean loner, that would be bad too. So it's best not to be either pudgy or lean. Let me read this whole quote to you, take it from the top again. As a youth, Mr. Milosevic was a pudgy loner. That's 2 strikes, pudgy loner. Who shunned sports, strike 3. And wrote poetry, strike 4. Strike 1. Does anyone need any further proof that here was a psychotic killer nerd? The Times goes on. Today, Milosevic is often described in Serbian profiles as reclusive and moody. His country's being bombed into the ground. He's moody. With few friends. Yeah, a lot of them are dead. Though in public appearances and interviews, he can be as effusive and happy as a door-to-door salesman. Fascinating. Isn't it fascinating? So we have an effusive, reclusive salesman type. Even the managing editor of Foreign Affairs, the most establishment of journals we have, the managing editor notes, quote, Milosevic, who rules an impoverished country that has not attacked its neighbors, is no Adolf Hitler. He is not even Saddam Hussein. And it's pretty bad when Foreign Affairs starts sounding good, you know? It really makes you realize where your own where our media, they're not our media, where their media really are at.
That's not an official policy. Oh, if Bill Clinton is looking to stop very few dozens of rapes, well, that's a slow 2 months in Washington, D.C. He could start much closer to home. He could concentrate on Capitol Hill, as a matter of fact, or even closer. I've actually gotten a number of awards along the way. But I think, but it's picked up lately, and I think what happened, it got out that I'm 81 years old. So everyone's saying, oh, 81, that's hard to believe, 81. And I'm reminded of Studs Terkel's, remember when he was being interviewed on the radio one time, he was 94. I mean, he was getting ready to check out. And he said, there's 3 stages, Studs Terkel. He worked out of Chicago, but he was a New York boy, I want you to know. He said, there's 3 stages in a man's life: youth, middle age, and you're looking great, So that's me. I'm looking great. Yeah. Oh, 78? You think 78? Oh, yeah. Okay.